Hi all, Hipper here. Now, by popular demand, I am now returning with another map tactics video, and this time we are having a look at Shards. Now, most players, or at least most players I know, don't really like this map here, and I can understand why. It's a very aggressive map. If you don't position correctly, and if you don't keep like an eye on your surroundings, it's very easy to get wrecked here. Newer players as well don't seem to agree too much with this map here, pretty much for the same reasons that if you make a mistake, you are pretty much out of there. Shards is also all about crossfires. The team that sets up the best crossfires on this map here, they are usually the team that wins. And again, it takes a bit of experience in the game to recognize where a nice crossfire could be. So if we first here have a look at spawns A and C, they are the key spawns on this map, and as you can see, one side of each spawn is the what I call the open side, and whoever spawns here on the open side of either A or C, they have a massive advantage, and it's very important that whoever spawns here takes full advantage of that preferable position they have there. So if you spawn at the open side of A and C, then I'm sorry to say you are in a position to determine if this game is a loss or a win. And some people don't like that, and other people thrive on it. So let's just have a quick look at the other spawns here. And as you can see, opposite every open spawn, there's of course the closed spawn. And the closed spawn and the open spawn, really the difference is that the closed spawn has a lot harder time to actually contest the caps right off the bat. The open side has a much better chance at doing that, and I'll of course get into more details later. And as you can see, they're mirrored, so each team has an open spawn and a closed spawn, of course. And then we have the spawn that most people hate the most in the game, which is the B spawn in the middle. And I can understand that some people hate it. I kind of like it, but I'll get into more detail on that one as well. So if we again focus on A and C here, then the spots where like pretty much sometimes the battle is decided very early on are the 3 entry points into each cap from the closed side. If the open spawn manages to keep the red ships out of the spawn for the first like 3 to 5 minutes, they have a massive advantage, and of course that's the way I play this map here. Now, just to reiterate here that this map can serve up some really nasty crossfires, especially for battleships. So as a battleship captain, if you don't angle correctly and position, well, like maybe not correctly but in a good way, like you can and you probably will get punished. And of course that goes both ways. Especially take care of the battleship that spawn at B, because they will usually be able to hit the battleships that spawn at A and C. Alright, let's get back to the meat of it here, and let's focus on the open spawns of A and C, because they are the most important spawns. And when I play a cruiser, I like to position my cruiser the way it's done here at A, so I can cap, and especially a torpedo cruiser is very handy here, because you can fire torpedoes both ways around the island, and you can use your sonar and your radar, and you can keep the enemy destroyer out of the cap. And I'll show you here like how I do it in a few different ships, and I always play this spawn pretty much exactly the same way, unless I start in front of a division, and like a division I know, and a division usually knows how I play this map. In that case I might spice it up a little bit, but in general this is the same approach. Now this play is identical if you have, it doesn't matter if you have a destroyer at your spawn or not. Like in this case I do have a destroyer, but I am still heading straight in towards the cover behind the big island, and dodging shots as I go in best I can. and firing torps into the openings to hopefully keep the enemy destroyer out, or any cruisers that might want to challenge me. And you see my destroyer is going like a weird way now, but I'm still continuing, and that's key, because I still have the battleship backup, and that's all I need. And actually these spawns here, they work better with 2 battleships and 1 cruiser, if you play it this way, of course, because the cruiser will do all the spotting and will take care of the destroyer. As you can see here, the red torps can only go pretty much one angle, because the destroyer has to get into the cap to actually fire them at an angle that will be surprising to the battleships. And that's key. Like you have to keep the destroyer out, like I'm doing here. I'm putting on my radar to scare him even more. And there's another bunch of torpedoes there, but again, like I said before, they're always at the same angle. So as a battleship player, if you just stay out of the trajectory of where the torpedoes might hit you, you'll be safe, usually. So now I'm in the perfect spot, and I can cap, and I can fire torps if I have to, and I can make life miserable for the ships over at B. And that is just perfect. My battleship is in a great position as well. He's backing me up, and he's making sure that no one can rush me around the island. The destroyer is in an awful position, but that's just the way it is sometimes. And that's also why you play an agile cruiser like this here. Now this play works best with cruisers that actually have torpedoes, and of course the more torpedoes the better. It's also good in cruisers that have smoke, like Exeter and Amalfi as well, because they also have torps, obviously, and the smoke makes it even easier to grab this cap here right in front of the enemies. In the more, like in the slower cruisers like Keeper here, you have to keep a little bit of an eye on the crossfire from B, like I'm doing here, because you are an inviting target when you're racing in broadside. Again here, look at the torps. They can only pretty much go one way unless the destroyer gets into the cap, and that's, like I said before, like key to make sure that doesn't happen. So fire torps at him and keep him out until the cap has been taken. And, if you can, shoot at the guys over at B and cap, and that's pretty much all there is to it. All you need is the battleships backing you up, like here where there's 2 of them, which is perfect. And just one more time here, I'll show the same thing. This is Warships this time here, and it is a little bit squishy, but it does have torps, and it's very fast, and it does have radar and sonar. So like doing the same thing here is a piece of cake, especially in this cruiser here. It's so fast, and you can really get in here before most destroyers. And especially now when carriers are out, if your destroyer heads in here, like you really should chase in and back him up, because if he gets spotted by the carrier, then you're there to defend him. So it's even more important now to play like aggressive agile cruisers, I think. But anyway, as you can see, like the procedure is pretty much the same here. Get into this good position here, and then turn on your radar and your sonar, or whatever you got, to keep the destroyers at bay until you have capped. And then after that, usually the game becomes more fluid, and it's hard to give a like a definite answer to what you should do or what you shouldn't do. I mean, that always depends on what happens in the game. But for me, this is a very nice way to start these games off here on Shards. Now, a lot depends on the battleships when you make this play here, and they really should stay in a position like this here, where they are close enough to make a difference, but still protecting their broadside from the guys over at B, and they're bow tanking the guys that they have spawned across from here in A. And at the same time, they're able to cover both entrances here. And it's even better if you have 2 battleships, like I said before, because they're just so much better at covering pretty much all entrances. That see here, like it's hard to go in and contest C unless you go the long way to flank. And yeah, that's the way I play it. Okay, so why is battleship positioning so important? And I'll show you here. Here I'm starting in Wichita and I'm at the closed spawn, which is kind of the bad spawn, in my opinion. We have a couple of battleships over here, and even though I am rushing in, I'm not going to rush into the cap because you don't have any cover in there. And as a cruiser, that usually means that you'll just be taken out very, very fast, unless you have smoke. As a smoke cruiser, you can contest the cap from this angle here, but when the smoke disappears, you are in a lot of trouble. And even if the destroyer spots you in your smoke, you are also in trouble. So the best thing is to just take it a little bit easy and wait in a position like this, where you're able to, if you have radar, you're able to radar the cap when someone gets in there, and then hopefully someone can take whatever ship out. But if you see in this example here, the battleships are not positioning very well. They're going to take the long way around the flank, and well, first of all, they're showing broadside the whole way. They don't really get punished for it because I can't really hit them that hard. But had there been a battleship here, like an Iowa or something here, that would have been a terrible play, and they would probably both have been sunk very, very fast right off the bat here. So for me, this is a wonderful play here. They are heading pretty much the worst way they can go, and the Lyon is going the other way, broadside as well, broadside to the guys at B. So this is an example of how not to play your battleships at this spawn here. Because now they're going to take the long way around this island here, and this cap is completely undefended now. The Lyon can possibly hit me, but if I just stay concealed and use the islands for my benefit, then I can just head straight in and snatch this cap here. And had there been a destroyer in here, or a cruiser, like playing the same way I do, they would have just been totally like, they would be in a very bad spot, because it would be pretty much them versus the 3 ships here on my side, until their battleships eventually come around from the island, and who knows how long that could take. And by that time, you can set up ambushes in the cap using torps and whatnot. It's not a very good play to do that. So you can see them over there, sitting there behind the island, and there's nothing they can do. I'm going to take this cap now, and I'm going to chase their Lyon friend away, and they're going to have lost this cap here, and they're going to have no way to retake it, because they are being surrounded now over on the cap, over on the flank, sorry. Yeah, so if this happens to you and you start at the closed spawn, take full advantage of it, because you're probably not going to get this chance again. And the spawn is yours, and again, after this point here, the game is pretty fluid and open. So in other words, don't show broadside at your spawn, because like I said before, you can get citadel from anywhere on this map here. And if you look down at sea, don't take the long way around the islands, at least as a battleship. It doesn't really work very well. Okay, let's have a look at the B spawn. Quite a challenging spawn, I think, and I think most people will agree with me. I have 4 ways I play it when I'm in a cruiser, and this is of course the first way I play it. Now in this example here, I'm going wide, and that's mostly because there's only 1 destroyer in the game, and I'm in a cruiser that doesn't have a very impressive torpedo armament. I do have torpedoes, so I would like to be able to shoot them, but I don't want to depend on them entirely. So by going wide like this, I will be able to fire at the ships on the other side of the island and perhaps get my torps in play as well. But I don't want to take up like a siege position or anything like that and totally rely on my torps, because I am in Charlemagne, and torps are okay, but yeah, don't rely on them too much. So this is what I call the taking the wide approach. Alright, so if you're in a radar cruiser, there are pretty much two approaches you can take, and this is the first one here. Be a little bit more patient in a radar cruiser, because obviously your job is to radar and give your teammates a bit of a look at what's actually happening behind this island here. And as you can see here, there's no destroyers in this cap here, so that's very valuable information already there. And in this position here, you'll be able to bow tank and still spot a little bit while still not taking torpedoes too easily. You still can if you're not careful, but this way it's a good way to start out B-spawn and see what happens then, because this spawn is totally fluid, like very, very hard to tell you what to do. Alright, the next approach is to go all the way in to the spawn, into the island, where you're able to use both your radar and you'll be able to take advantage of your sonar as well. Because in here the sonar will cover pretty much the whole cap, especially the British one here. And at the same time you'll be able to push the enemies out while still staying in cover here behind the islands, at least from the B guys. But doing this makes you a target for the guys at especially at C, but also A occasionally. So you gotta be careful. But my radar cruisers with torpedoes, this is where I usually go when I spawn here. And there's an incoming salvo there from C. Because as opposed to Wichita, Albemarle has torpedoes, so it can actually defend this position here. Wichita can just reverse and bow tank if it gets challenged, while Albemarle here can actually put up quite a fight, even to a battleship that wants to push it out. Of course, if someone YOLOs in here in an Odin or a Gneisenau, then yeah, things are looking not rosy. Alright, so the last approach here is one I use with the very fast cruisers, or the cruisers with smoke, like Amalfi or Exeter, or as you can this example here, Atago, because it's so fast. Prince Eugen and Hipper also quite good to use like this, because they have so many torpedoes. And what I really want to do here is get to the other side of the island as quickly as possible and see if I can catch the destroyer in a bad position, which I can here in this instance here. And this means that you'll be able to take the destroyer out very, very early on in the game. And it's not as dangerous as it looks, because as soon as you're in this position here, the battleships at B won't be able to touch you. So unless they rush in, then you're actually in a pretty good position. And you can put a lot of pressure on the destroyer there, and of course take it out. It's the ultimate goal. And that way you have really, really done a lot to help the team here. And another bonus is that you are actually capping as well. So when you get into this position here, it's good to have smoke. So Amalfi is better at this. But as long as you don't get focused, you should be able to cap and perhaps even get away with it. If you can't cap, don't worry about it, just get out of there. As long as the destroyer is finished, then your work here is done, pretty much. Another benefit of this approach here is that on the way back you'll be able to fire the torpedoes from the other side of the ship. And as you saw there, we took a very nasty hit there, but it is a high risk, high reward play, this one here. And like I said, the cruisers with smoke, they work better doing this, because you'll be able to escape very easily after. So I'm just waiting to get our engine back here, and then, like I said before, when you are returning towards your original spawn, you will be able to fire the torpedoes off the other side of the ship to create a little bit more mayhem. And especially if the red team is pushing now, you'll be able to catch them in quite a nasty situation here if you have both torpedoes ready. Alright, so that was my map tactics for Shards, and it's actually my favorite map in the game, and I really enjoy to play it in any ship type, and I like it because I don't think any of the 3 classes or 4 classes now with carriers have an advantage on this map here. Like, it's all pretty equal, and you can do well no matter what you do, as long as you keep out of crossfires. And of course, this is not a recipe to how to win on Shards, because, as I say, this is how I play it, and I'm sure other people play it differently, and there are like a million ways to play the ships and the spawns and the maps. So take this as inspiration, if nothing else. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you out there.